The holding cell smelled of rust, old fear, and the particular sourness of a dozen different species sweating in close quarters. Kellen sat on a cold metal bench, his back against a wall scarred by claw marks and energy burns. Around him, the other prisoners paced, chittered, growled, or wept. They were the arena's latest consignment sentenced to die for the amusement of the Galactic Unity. A sprawling empire of 73 worlds where strength was law and weakness was a crime. Kellen looked like a prisoner. His jumpsuit was standard issue, gray, torn at one shoulder to tight across the chest. His hair was a matted brown, his face smudged with dirt from the transport ship. He had no weapons, no armor, no obvious augmentations. To the eye of any casual observer, he was just another unfortunate biped from some backwater planet. Probably with below-average muscle density and a fragile skeletal structure. The cricket next to him a mantis-like being with 4 arms and a chitinous face that clicked when its breath leaned close. Its antennae brushed Kellen's shoulder. "You, small soft thing. First fight." Its voice was a wet scrape. Kellen nodded. He kept his eyes down, his posture meek. "First one." The cricket made a sound like grinding stones. "Laughter. You die fast." "Maybe first minute." "They put us against the Grint tonight. Big, teeth, very hungry." It gestured with 2 of its arms toward a massive door at the far end of the cell block. "That door opens. You run. Grint eats. I climb walls. Maybe live 20 minutes more." Kellen said nothing. He flexed his fingers inside his boots and seen, unremarkable. He had been doing this for 3 years now, on 11 different worlds, in 17 different arenas. He was not a gladiator by choice. He was a scout, originally. A deep reconnaissance soldier from a species the Galactic Unity did not officially believe existed. Humans. The Unity census listed over 400 sentient species. Humans were not among them. Earth was a dot on no star chart they possessed, hidden behind a nebula that scrambled long-range sensors. Humanity had been watching the Unity for 50 years, learning their languages, their weapons, their politics. Kellen was one of 100 infiltrators, seated across the Empire in the bodies of lost or enslaved beings. He had been caught on a surveillance mission 3 years ago, his false identity papers just slightly wrong. The local prefect had not bothered with a trial. He had simply stamped Kellen's wrist with a bio-coded mark and shipped him to the nearest arena. Fight, survive, repeat. That had been his life ever since. A low gong sounded, deep enough to vibrate through the floor. The prisoners stirred. Some prayed to gods Kellen did not recognize. One small furred creature began to sob. The cricket flexed all 4 arms, its claws extending and retracting. "Door opens in 5 minutes, it said. I go left. You go straight. Maybe Grint take you first. Give me time." The massive door began to rise, hydraulics hissing. Light flooded in harsh, white, artificial. Beyond it, Kellen could see sand, and beyond the sand, a rising wall of spectators. Tens of thousands of them. Different shapes, sizes, colors. All cheering. All hungry for blood. The cricket scuttled forward. Others surged. The small furred creature tried to hide in a corner, but a guard shock staff drove it out. Kellen stood slowly. He rolled his shoulders. He stretched his neck left, then right. He did not run. He did not cower. He walked. The arena floor was a perfect oval, 200 meters long, covered in coarse red sand that had been stained darker in patches. The walls rose 50 meters high, sheer and polished, to prevent climbing. At the top, holographic screens displayed the odds, the names of the beasts, and the prisoners' designations. Kellen's designation flashed in glowing green letters. Specimen 734. Unidentified biped. Survival odds, 0.3%. The crowd roared. They loved the long shots. They loved watching the hopeless die. On the far side of the arena, a second door opened. This one was larger, reinforced with steel bands a hand thick. A stench rolled out: rotting meat, wet fur, and something acrid, like old gasoline. The Grint emerged. It was a monster. 12 feet at the shoulder, covered in matted gray-brown fur, with a head that was half bear, half lizard. Its mouth opened in a silent snarl, revealing rows of teeth that curved backward like fishhooks. It had 6 legs, each ending in a clawed foot the size of a dinner plate. And it was blind. The arena masters had removed its eyes years ago, sharpening its other senses to a killing edge. It could smell fear. It could hear a heartbeat from 50 paces. The cricket had been wrong. The Grint did not eat randomly. It paused at the edge of the arena, nostrils flaring, head swinging slowly. Then it charged not at the cluster of prisoners huddled together, not at the ones trying to scale the walls. It charged straight at Kellen. The crowd gasped, then cheered louder. Kellen had exactly 1.8 seconds before impact. He had faced worse. On the arena world of Thraxvi, he had killed a razor beast with a broken bottle. On the water arena of Delphus, he had drowned a pack of electric eels by using his own body as a conductor. On the Crystal Coliseum of Vorlag, he had fought for 6 hours, straight against 17 opponents, winning each fight by the smallest possible margin, never too fast, never too flashy. Always just lucky enough to survive. He had learned, 3 years ago, that the arena masters did not kill a profitable fighter. If you were entertaining, if you drew crowds, if you made the bookmakers money, you lived to fight another day. So he had crafted a persona, the lucky biped, the unremarkable little mammal that somehow, against all odds, kept getting back up, but the Grint was different. The Grint was a test. The arena masters had grown tired of his luck. They wanted to see if he was truly a freak of probability, or something else entirely. The Grint lunged. Kellen dropped. Not backward, not sideways. He dropped straight down onto his back, sliding in the sand as the monster's bulk passed over him. The claws missed his face by 2 inches. He reached up as the Grint's belly slid past soft fur, warm flesh, and drove both thumbs into a cluster of nerve ganglia just behind the creature's front left leg. It was a human technique. Pressure points. Nerve strikes. The Grint's nervous system was different from a human's, but Kellen had dissected enough alien corpses in secret to know that all pain pathways shared certain vulnerabilities. The monster screeched a sound like tearing metal and stumbled. Its back legs tangled. It crashed into the sand, kicking up a cloud of red dust. The crowd went silent. Then a confused murmur. Kellen rolled to his feet. He did not run. He walked toward the Grint's head. The creature was thrashing, trying to right itself, but the nerve strike had paralyzed its left side temporarily. Kellen had maybe 10 seconds. He looked up at the arena master's box, a glass-enclosed balcony 50 meters above the sand. He could see the silhouettes of 3 beings, a tall, thin Vogue with silver skin, a squat, 4-armed Brunt, and a floating, gelatinous Xylos that served as the arena's owner. They were watching. They were always watching. Kellen smiled. Not a big smile. Just a small, private one. Then he turned back to the Grint. The monster had recovered. Its left side twitched back to life. It scrambled to its feet, head lowered, jaws dripping. It was angry now. Not hungry, angry. That made it slower. Less precise. Kellen crouched slightly. He held out his empty hands, palms up. An invitation. The Grint charged again. This time, Kellen stepped into it. He moved like water. His left hand caught the Grint's lower jaw, pushing it aside. His right hand hooked one of the monster's fangs and used the creature's own momentum to twist its head further. The Grint's neck muscles strained. Its claws raked the air inches from Kellen's ribs. Then, with a wet crack, the jaw dislocated. The Grint howled, but the sound was wrong, muffled, choked. Its tongue flopped uselessly. Kellen did not stop. He pivoted, drove his shoulder into the Grint's chest, and shoved. The monster, already off balance, toppled sideways. Before it could recover, Kellen was on its back, one arm locked around its throat. A rear naked choke. The simplest, oldest human submission hold. It did not require strength. It required leverage and patience. The Grint thrashed. It rolled. It tried to scrape Kellen off against the arena wall. Kellen held on. His legs wrapped around the creature's torso. His arm tightened. The monster's claws scored his thigh deep, bleeding, but he did not let go. He had felt worse. On the ice world of Fenris, he had fought with a broken arm for 2 hours. On the acid swamps of Drath, he had lost 2 fingers to a venomous serpent and regrown them in a tank over 6 weeks of agony. The Grint's thrashing slowed. Its breathing became ragged. Its 6 legs wobbled. Then, with a final shudder, it collapsed. Not dead, unconscious, the arena rules said a fight ended when a beast could no longer continue. Death was not required. Kellen released the hold and stood. His leg was bleeding freely. His hands were shaking from adrenaline. But he was alive. The arena was utterly silent. Then, slowly, a single being began to clap. Then another. Then 100. Then 10,000. The roar that followed was unlike any Kellen had heard in 3 years. It was not the blood-hungry scream of a crowd watching a killing. It was something else. Something like awe. The holographic screens flickered. Kellen's odds changed. Specimen 734. Unidentified biped. He limped toward the prisoner exit. The guards did not prod him. They stepped aside. That night, in his cell, a slightly larger one now, with a real bed and clean water, Kellen sat in the dark and cleaned his wounds. His leg would need stitches. He had a small medical kit hidden behind a loose panel, stolen piece by piece over months. He worked slowly, methodically, the way a human soldier had been trained. A knock came at the door. Not the heavy fist of a guard. Something softer. 3 taps, a pause. 2 taps, Kellen froze. That was a pattern. A human pattern. From his old unit, he stood, ignoring the pain in his leg, and opened the door a crack. A tall, slender being stood in the corridor. It looked like a Vogue silver skin, elongated limbs, large dark eyes. But something about the way it held itself was wrong. Too relaxed, too grounded. Took you long enough, the being said. The voice was not Vogue. The voice was human, female. We've been looking for you for 2 years. The network thought you were dead. Kellen stared. Then he laughed, a quiet, broken sound he had not made in 3 years. You picked a Vogue morph. They smell like ozone and old socks. Everyone can smell you coming. The being, the human infiltrator, stepped inside. She closed the door behind her. I had to get close. The arena masters are getting nervous. They've been reviewing your fights. They don't believe in luck anymore. She pulled off a thin film of synthetic skin from her face, revealing human features beneath. Brown skin, close-cropped black hair, a scar across her left eyebrow. They're going to put you in the Grand Championship next month. 64 fighters. 1 survivor. No rules. No mercy. Kellen sat back down on his bed. The weight of her words settled on him like a physical thing. The Grand Championship. He had heard whispers. It was the arena's ultimate spectacle, a single day of uninterrupted combat, broadcast across the entire galactic unity. The winner received freedom. The losers received nothing but a mention on a memorial wall. How do I get out? He asked. You don't, she said. The transport ship that brings you to the championship is a sealed pod. No windows. No weapons. No escape. The only way out is through the arena floor. She paused. But there's another way. We have a team in orbit. A small ship. Stealth tech. If you can delay the championship, just create enough chaos to buy us 10 minutes, we can beam you out. During the first fight, Kellen looked at his hands. They were calloused, scarred, the knuckles permanently swollen. They were the hands of a fighter. But they were also the hands of a scout, a spy, a human being who had never wanted any of this. 10 minutes, he repeated. 10 minutes, she said. Can you do it? He thought about the cricket, who had died in the first minute of the Grint fight, torn apart while trying to climb the wall. He thought about the small furred creature, which had been shocked into the arena and then trampled before the Grint even noticed it. He thought about all the prisoners he had seen die, all the beings who had been sold into this place because they were weak, or poor, or simply unlucky. He was not one of them. He was human. And humanity did not abandon its own. I can do more than 10 minutes, Kellen said. I can give you an hour. But I need you to do something for me. Name it. When you beam me out, take as many prisoners as you can. There's a lower level, non-fighters, the ones they keep for spare parts. Get them too. The infiltrator's expression flickered. That was not in the mission plan. Extracting a single agent was one thing. Extracting dozens of unknown aliens was another. But she nodded. I'll see what I can do. She left as quietly as she had come. Kellen sat in the dark for a long time, listening to the distant sounds of the arena, cheers, screams, the roar of beasts. Then he lay down and slept the dreamless sleep of a soldier who knew what was coming. The day of the Grand Championship arrived under a blood-red sky. The arena had been transformed. The sand was fresh. The walls were lined with energy shields to prevent climbing. Hover cameras drifted through the air like metallic insects, broadcasting every angle to billions of viewers across the Unity. 64 fighters stood in a holding pen beneath the arena floor. They came from 40 different species. Some were massive 8-foot-tall reptiles with armored scales. Some were small, a pair of furry, rodent-like beings that clung to each other and trembled. Some were mechanical, their organic parts replaced by cybernetics. They all shared the same look in their eyes, the flat, dead stare of beings who had accepted their deaths. Kellen stood apart from the others. His jumpsuit had been replaced with a leather harness and a pair of boots. No armor, no weapons. The arena masters wanted him to die beautifully. A voice boomed from hidden speakers. Beings of the Galactic Unity, welcome to the 400th Grand Championship. 64 enter. 1 leaves. Let the games begin. The floor beneath their feet began to rise, a massive hydraulic lift that carried all 64 fighters up into the arena at once. Sunlight hit Kellen's face. The roar of the crowd was a physical force, pressing against his eardrums. The arena was circular this time, not oval. 300 meters across. In the center, a single post rose 20 feet high, topped with a gleaming sphere. The prize. The key to freedom. The fighters spread out instinctively. Some formed temporary alliances. Others ran for the edges. The reptilian fighters clumped together, hissing at anyone who came close. The cybernetic being, a 7-foot-tall biped with a cannon for an arm, began charging its weapon. Kellen did not move. He stood where the lift had deposited him, in the exact center of the arena, 10 feet from the prize post. A hush fell over the crowd. They had seen the replays. They knew this small, unremarkable biped had somehow defeated a Grint, but 63 other killers stood between him and freedom. The odds on the holographic screens flashed. Specimen 734. Unidentified biped. Survival odds 0.02%. The cybernetic being fired its cannon. The blast was aimed at the nearest group of reptilians, but the recoil was wild, and the shot went high, splashing against the energy shields. The reptilians charged. The rodent being scattered. The arena erupted into chaos. Kellen walked toward the prize post. A reptilian broke from the melee and lunged at him, jaws open. Kellen sidestepped, caught the creature's tail, and used its own momentum to slam it into the post. The impact cracked the reptile's skull. It slid to the sand, unconscious. The crowd gasped. That had taken less than 2 seconds. A pair of insectoid fighters, each the size of a large dog, skittered toward him on multiple legs. They spat acid. Kellen grabbed the unconscious reptile's body and used it as a shield. The acid sizzled against the scales, eating through, but not fast enough. He threw the body at the insectoids, knocking them aside, then stepped on one of their heads with enough force to crack its exoskeleton. 3 fighters down. 60 to go. He looked up at the sky. No sign of the extraction ship yet. He needed more time. So he did something he had never done in 3 years of arena fighting. He stopped holding back. Kellen ran. Not away from the fighters. Toward the largest concentration of them, a group of 12 hulking, fur-covered brutes with 4 arms each. They were called Gorn. They were bred for arena combat. They had no fear, no pain response, and no mercy. The first Gorn swung all 4 fists at once. Kellen ducked under the swing, came up inside the creature's guard, and drove the heel of his palm into its throat. The Gorn's windpipe collapsed. It stumbled backward, choking. The second Gorn grabbed him from behind. Kellen dropped his weight, twisted, and broke the creature's grip using a joint lock that hyperextended 2 of its elbows. The Gorn howled and released him. Kellen spun and kicked its knee backward the wrong direction. It fell. The remaining 10 Gorn hesitated. They had never seen anything move like that. They had never seen a being that seemed to know exactly where to strike, exactly how hard, exactly when. Kellen smiled again. That same small, private smile. Then he went to work. He fought for 43 minutes. He broke bones. He dislocated joints. He used pressure points to paralyze, nerve strikes to stun, and grappling holds to incapacitate without killing. He did not fight fair. He used the sand to blind. He used the bodies of fallen fighters as shields and stepping stones. He climbed the prize post and kicked a flying predator out of the air. He caught a spear thrown by a distant opponent and threw it back so hard it pinned the thrower's arm to the arena floor. By the 30-minute mark, 27 fighters were down. By the 40-minute mark, 41 were down. The remaining fighters, the smart ones, the survivors, had gathered at the far edge of the arena, watching him with a mixture of terror and disbelief. The crowd was no longer cheering. They were screaming. Not for blood, for him. His name, Specimen 734, had become a chant. 74, 74, 70-for Kellen stood in the center of the arena, surrounded by the bodies of the fallen. His leather harness was torn. His left arm hung at a strange angle, dislocated at the shoulder. His face was covered in blood, most of it not his own. He was breathing hard, but his eyes were clear. He looked up at the arena master's box. The Vogue, the Brunt, and the Xylos were all pressed against the glass, watching. He could not see their expressions, but he could feel their fear. He raised his good arm and pointed directly at them. The crowd went silent. Then the sky above the arena shimmered. A small ship dropped out of stealth, a sleek, dark wedge that had been waiting in orbit. It descended fast, ignoring the arena's defensive cannons.